It's the story of a bunch of podcasts who were bringing Cubby content to the world. All of them did their own show. Unconnected, obsessive baseball nerds. It's the story of a bunch of Cubs fans who are consolidating all their shows. They're uniting, doing it together, so we all can grow. Cup of Cubby Blues combining with Sunranto, baseball rabbit hole and Cubs PS Plus. With Cubs Pod and breaks behind the ivy, they're all teaming up to be the Bleacher Bunch, the Bleacher Bunch. We love the Cubs, that's the way we became the Bleacher Bunch.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bleacher Bunch, a Fans First Sports Network show. This show is brought to you by all of our Patreon supporters who support us at patreon.com/bleacherbunch, especially Blake Beard and his amazing tickets that will soon be going on sale once again because we'll get to go to some Cubs games at Wrigley. And then also Rogue Wave Creative for their support, not to mention all the great podcasts in the Bleacher Bunch, Cubs, Cuppa, Cubby Blue, Bricks Behind the Ivy, Baseball Rabbit Hole, Cubs Pod, and the Sunranto Show. And then, of course, our sponsors in the Clutch shirts, which I'm wearing my Ranter Fest shirt today, and Matt Kammerer's Permanent Paintings. Yes, you can go to Etsy. It's Permanent Paintings on Etsy. You can find awesome stuff like, well, you can't find this because this is illegal, but you could find something like that or, you know, different map-based Cubs players and different players. Tonight, we are going to be recapping a sensationally terrible start to spring training. We'll be talking some baseball from the Gen Z perspective with my son, Eli Cotton, making his debut on the Bleacher Bunch. And then we're also going to be trying to get to third base in Japan. So we are also, and I have it correct this time, I know how to do it, #chance in the chat if you want to win a postcard of love and doom from Danny Rocket. And then, so I'm through all the sort of up the top stuff. Welcome to Eli. He is currently sitting in his apartment down in Norman, Oklahoma.
Yep, and I'm pretty sure that I've got better weather than the rest of you. It's been 70s all week.
Yeah. So Eli is a meteorology student. He's the only person in the world in which if you say, how's the weather, that is not small talk. That is in depth. You're going to have a conversation. It's way more than just obviously parents and children talk about the weather all the time just to have something to talk about when you're on the phone. But like with Eli, when we're talking about the weather, he's doing all sorts of interesting things with it.
Yeah, and I'm going to say, like, down here, it's been 70s. It's been baseball weather. I've been going over to just the outfield out in Oklahoma. We have our baseball field, and we don't have any seats in our outfield, really. We just have a wall and then berms behind them. And so I'll just go out. I won't get any tickets or anything. I'll just show up in, like, the right field berm and watch a game from there, and it's been great this week.
Yeah, so first off, Eli, stand up and show them this jersey that you're wearing.
Yeah.
This is like a 1930s Oklahoma jersey.
Yep.
Number 9.
Yep, it's got 9 on the back because I'm really excited to see Cade Horton. I wanted to see him last year, but of course he got injured. He better not do that again because I want to go see him in person.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody's really excited about Cade Horton. And I mean, you got there. I don't think you actually got to see him pitch. He got drafted. I think he got drafted the weekend we were down visiting Oklahoma before you went.
Yeah, we got down. We were visiting, and literally while we were in the hotel room, he got drafted by the Cubs,
Mhm.
and it makes sense. I've been like looking more into him and like looking at his past highlights and stuff, and yeah, no, there's a reason he carried this Oklahoma team to the finals of the College World Series back in 2020. I believe it's 22. I think it was 22 when they did it, but yeah, like this Oklahoma team, like we're always good, but we're never one of the elite baseball teams. But he was something else. He was something else, and he was able to bring that team to the finals before eventually losing to the champions Ole Miss. But yeah, he's special.
Yeah, I'm really hoping it translates, and we get a chance to maybe see him late this year. You know, like it really just depends. I mean, that's the problem with prospects. You absolutely have no idea if they're ever gonna make it because like Cade Horton, people were thinking maybe he'd show up late last year, but he got hurt, and so he didn't show up. So
it's so hard of pitchers too.
Brendan Davis. Everybody thought he was a lock. We were excited.
Yeah, Brendan Davis, the player who was like a top prospect, everyone was like, he's going to be the center fielder. And, well, now we have at least 3 better center fielders, and only one of them's getting playing time. So,
well, yeah. But unfortunately, Brendan Davis had like back surgery and injuries all the time. So, looks like we got a bunch of people doing chants in the chat. That's awesome. Clinton Nathan is jumping in there. David Elliott. Clinton Nathan says this is Horton's year, so we're hoping for it.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to show up until at least like late May, early June, because I know the Cubs are going to try to grab that extra year on him because, even though I don't know.
It is a little bit different with the pitchers because you have options and all that stuff. But it's
also hard because he's coming off injury.
Yeah, the big thing is the Cubs pitching staff right now is, I mean, we have a lot of actual opportunities for starting pitchers. We've got like 6 or 7 guys. I think there's like 4 guys all battling for the last spot. We've got a number of guys. So ultimately throughout the year, we're going to end up with spot starts here and there. And just kind of, if everything goes well, maybe we'll see Horton get one of those, spot starts late, but who knows? They'll probably keep him in AAA just to let him get plenty of innings, and then
probably.
So I don't expect to see him prior to the All-Star break for sure.
Yeah, I mean, hey, at the very least, if he stays healthy in AAA, at least we can go to an Iowa Cubs game. As we keep saying we will before never going to an Iowa Cubs game.
It would be a lot easier to go to an Iowa Cubs game if they weren't in Des Moines. But that's a different story. No, so what's funny about Eli's jersey too? I don't have mine on tonight, but it was really hard. You could not find a Cade Horton jersey. Couldn't find it in the Cubs. Cubs shop or any place because they don't do minor league player jerseys. And then of course he wasn't with Oklahoma anymore. So those were gone if they had ever existed in the first place, because that was just prior to the NIL deals. And so we were just looking, and then all of a sudden we find this, like, it's like a 1932 away jersey. And it just so happened it had number 9, and that was his number at Oklahoma. So we bought it. It didn't come in time for Christmas. It was just dragging, like they just wouldn't come. Finally comes. We open it. It's freaking 6. They put the 9 on upside down. Like, what the? So of course, I reach out and tell them, hey, we got this very specifically because it had a 9 on it, blah, blah, blah. This jersey took like 3 months to get to us, so we did not have any expectation of getting it anytime soon. Like a week later, we have this new 9 jersey. I haven't even had a chance to send back the 6 jersey. And so then, of course, nice. We both have jerseys now. I've got a 6, he's got a 9, and someday we'll be sitting out on that berm out on left field with our 69 jerseys going.
Yeah, left or right field. They put in this like patio type seating in right field. It sucks because if you're sitting in right field or along the line, which I like doing it there, because like the right field is so much more chill than the left field. The left field's where all the frat guys go. So like the left field is like constant yelling and stuff.
Just like at Wrigley.
Yep. And then in it's funny in right field you get a bunch of people, and it's still some like it's a lot of college guys, and they do their own little bits of jeering and stuff because we can see into the away bullpens there.
Yeah.
But it's funny because the people out there are like much more watching the game. They know more about it. In fact, I talked with one of the dudes out there on Wednesday, and he knew who Cade Horton was. He knew that he was coming up for the Cubs. He's like, I'm excited to see Cade Horton up in majors. And I don't even think he's a Cubs fan. I think he's literally just Oklahoma baseball fan. And And plus, the best thing about the berms as well is that, like, people are out there because since you don't have to go into the stadium, you get to bring your own beer and stuff. You get to bring your own beer, snacks, whatever. But in right field especially, there's dogs. We had this guy show up in the third inning yesterday. He had this big golden retriever. So he just comes up, he has a Coors Light, sets down his like lawn chair, puts the Coors Light in, sits down, the dog just lays down next to him, and they're just watching the game from the berm.
So, okay, let's paint the picture here a little bit. So what's the name of the stadium down there, Eli? Do you know?
I couldn't know. It's named after some old guy, Yeah.
That's usually how that works.
You know what? I'm gonna take it out on a limb. I don't know what it is, which means it's probably David L. Boren, because that's what half this campus is named after.
Okay.
Like we have David L. Boren Hall on David L. Boren Street, on David L. Boren area. Like everything's named after him. So there's a non-zero chance the baseball field is too.
Right. So you go to the game. They have seats along the lines and behind the plate, but the outfield is just a wall. But there's a berm, you say, right? And it's high enough that you can see into the field.
So yeah, it's like a 10-foot wall around. And then there's like three main things that block views from the berms. In center field, in the middle of that, there's the batter's eye. So obviously you can't sit at dead center.
Okay.
Then there's a little gap in left center and right center. And then in left field, we've got a big brick like scoreboard and stuff. So you can't sit behind that, though you can sit under it, funnily enough. If you're tall, you can there's two little sections between the pillars, and you can kind of sit under there. And then you got like the lines that are open. And then in right field, they just added this. It's like a patio studio seat. I assume that's where they're going to bring people when they have people on visits. Okay. And so that's kind of like you can see through it, but it's like black mesh surrounding it to make it kind of like covered. Yeah, no, it's a bit annoying because it makes it hard to see like the scoreboard. So if you lose track of the count, it's kind of hard to see in there. And also like if there's a fly to deep center, it's a bit hard to tell. Yeah. But you get to see 90% of the game fine in right field. And also, like,
it's like a rooftop situation almost.
Yeah,
right?
It's sort of a rooftop situation. And then the funny thing was, we were there, and we were complaining a little bit about how they added this thing in this year. And they saw, and like 3 college students saw that there was the gate open. And so they just walked through that gate and walked up onto up onto the seating, and no one's sitting there. And so we're all up. The rest of us who are up on the berm are like taking bets about how long it'll be before security kicks them out. And so they get to the 4th inning, and they're up there, and they're like, they're not even being quiet about it. They're yelling at the away teams, like right fielder and stuff. And we see a security guy walking up with a dad and his like daughter, and we're like, oh, yeah, no, they're gonna get kicked out now, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, it's Dale Mitchell Park, right? But he walks up with dad and daughter, and we're like, oh, they're gonna get kicked out. We're all watching, we're kind of watching to see what happens. And it turns out security guard was chill. He walks up, he's basically just showing the dad and his daughter around, let him watch the rest of the inning from out there. And then he left with them, just left the 3 students just sitting there.
See, that's that right there. I mean, that's like baseball dream Americana sort of thing, right? You go out and you can just sit on a berm and see into a game. You don't have to pay. There's people out there grilling, and they've got beers and dogs, and they're just like, it's real chill. So chill that even when the guys are, going into the
Right.
stadium in places that they're not supposed to be. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
I have yet to be able to go down there and enjoy one of these games. You did this for the first time last year.
Mhm.
And ever since you told me about this right field berm situation, I have really wanted to go. I think that would just be like so fun, just amazing to be able to do it.
Yeah, no, it's all great, and especially when you get into conference play, it's going to get even better because right now it's kind of like not super busy because it's February. It's late February. We just came off of an absolute cold start, so no one's thinking about baseball, and we're playing teams like Texas Southern and we played Lehigh the other week. Like we're not playing big teams, so we have these. It's just a couple people out there. But I remember seeing last year they did have like some guys brought out their full tailgate set from like Oklahoma football. Had a grill up there, had their their pyramid sort of banister, their pyramid sort of like awning or whatever, and they were out there cooking. And I know the group that was there on Wednesday, they specifically said they had been talking about they wanted to do the like 9 innings, 9 beers, 9 hot dogs challenge.
Oh yeah. In fact, our sponsors in the Clutch shirts have a t-shirt that says 999 no regrets.
Yeah. And so instead of having to go buy one, buy a beer, no, I think their plan is that they're going to bring out 9 beers, bring a grill, cook 9 hot dogs and try to do it.
It's really the only way you could do it. Otherwise it's good. I mean, I don't know how much hot dogs and stuff cost at a college stadium, but I know they're probably more and if you're trying to do it, like you have to have them all there right together or else you're never going to be able to get up and go get your beer and hot dog and then come back. It's just not feasible.
Exactly.
So, okay. So Eli, I also wanted to have you because you are very close to one of the youngest people we've ever had on here. Many years ago, we had like a 13-year-old on and had a great interview with him. Danny's cousin, I think, but it's usually just old dudes like me and, all the other hosts of these shows.
Right.
But we're always hearing about there's the fans, like baseball isn't big with the younger generations and nobody's watching and all of this stuff. Now, I personally look, you're maybe not going to be the exact, non-biased one because I'm your dad and we watch games and stuff together, but you're off on your own now. You've been out of the house for a couple of years, but, and now you're around other people. Like, what do you I guess what's your take on that? On like Gen Z take on Major League Baseball and whether your generation is actually paying attention to it, or like how do you consume the game? Like what's going on?
I mean, I will say I'm a weirdo for my generation because I listen to the games on the radio. But
yeah, because right, but I mean that makes sense. We got Shit Bambi on the TV, and then we got Pat and Ron on the radio. I mean that's an easy choice.
But yeah, no, it's funny because there's definitely still like a big amount.
Did you just fall down like in your chair?
No. I tapped my desk and it bounced my webcam up.
Oh, okay.
But there's definitely like still a lot of baseball in, and it's like you'd think that especially in Oklahoma, we're a big football we're a big football school in a big football state, because we don't have baseball around here. Our closest baseball teams. Yeah, our closest baseball teams are Rangers, Astros, and Royals. And like for the most part, Royals and Rangers have been bad, and like the Cowboys have been good. So like everyone's a big football fan around here, but you still see a lot of like excitement for baseball down here in the spring.
Right. Well, and like you were saying, not a lot of major leagues and Oklahoma people. Do they do they cheer for Texas teams, or are they kind of like, we're going to cheer for Atlanta or Colorado or anybody but Texas?
So the big thing is a lot of the people in Oklahoma are from Texas. So a lot of them cheer for Texas because they're from Texas.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Or from Kansas, Kansas, Missouri. We have a lot of Royals fans, a lot of it's a lot of Rangers and Astros, Rangers. I think it's a lot more Rangers fans than Astros, which is like one of the few places in the country where that's true. Because I feel like the Rangers have always been kind of just a lot smaller than the Astros, I guess.
Well, Arlington's like 3 hours away from you, right?
Yeah, Arlington's part of the whole like Dallas, Fort Worth conglomerate thing. And yeah, but the other thing is I think there's like, I'm into college, so a lot of people in a bunch of different things. But yeah, no, it's a lot of Texas fans just because I think they just root for all the Dallas area teams. A lot of Dallas area people move up here. And so, yeah, you'll see a lot of that. You see a surprisingly little amount of Dodgers fans, given the fact that, the Oklahoma City, I guess they're now the Oklahoma City baseball team, but like they used to be the Oklahoma City Dodgers. They're still the affiliates of the Dodgers. But like you don't really see any Dodgers fans around here, which
that is interesting because Oklahoma City is only 45 minutes away. Like if you wanted to go to a AAA game, it would be a Dodgers game.
Right. And then the other thing I found interesting is a lot of like the biggest fans of baseball, and this makes sense, is travel ball kids who, played travel ball, played high school baseball, all that stuff. And they can't play at the next level.
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised because sometimes I feel like the travel ball kids don't actually watch baseball, but I guess maybe once you wash out, it's the only way to.
Yeah, I think it's when you wash out is when you do it. Because when I was at the baseball game the other day, that was a lot of the people there. It would be like, one travel ball kid who remembered, he liked playing baseball and he used to play back in high school or whatever, and he can't play anymore because he's not good enough to be on the college team. But he'll go there and then he'll invite his friends out to go have a beer and watch a game sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like a lot of what it is. I remember someone made a joke of like, was like, people come, all our students come out to baseball games so they can tell each other how good they were in high school.
That is very true. That is very true. Now, granted, I'm old enough that we don't get that so much in my era now, but yes, when I was in my 20s and I was sitting in the bleachers, oh yeah, I mean, half those guys were like, I was this and that, and
Yeah, and then also like another thing with baseball is that it's really funny to see it because it seems like right now everyone's a Thunder fan, right? So it's kind of hard to tell with baseball a little bit because everyone's hyping up the Thunder because they're doing really good in NBA. As soon as the Thunder either drop out of the playoffs or go to the finals and lose or lose to the final and win, as soon as the NBA season's over for the Thunder, that's when the baseball jerseys come out. And like by like April, May, it's, you see a surprising amount of baseball jerseys from a surprising amount of teams. I've seen a few Rockies jerseys. I've seen quite a few Texas jerseys, a few Houston jerseys. I saw one Red Sox jersey. I remember that, and I think it was a Red Sox. It was a Red Sox Mookie Betts jersey too. So like they've been around for a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So and these are, I mean, quote unquote kids. I mean, you guys are adults now, but you're very young and a lot of. So I don't know. I guess my thing is the narrative around young people in baseball is that they don't watch and they don't care. But you're like there's no more young people place than college, and you're seeing a lot of jerseys from all over. Now, my guess is more that it's just hard to find baseball. But in Oklahoma, you can kind of watch whoever you want, or you're probably blacked out of all the teams.
We are definitely in a blackout hell because I'm pretty sure we get. I'm pretty sure the Rangers, the Rockies, the Royals, the Cardinals, and the Astros are all blocked out. Maybe not the Cardinals, but at least the Texas teams, the Royals and the Rockies, are blocked out. But the other thing is that a lot of times, the place where you'll see a lot of them will be at the dining hall, because we have a big, giant projector that'll show baseball games when everything else is done. And so they're
literally watching baseball in the dining halls.
Yeah. You'll have like a group of, it's usually a group of guys. Like a lot of times it's like either frat guys or like guys on a team or whatever, who go there, they go and eat dinner together, and they watch the baseball game for a little bit. And on top of that, I think it's also just like a lot of people are just sports fans, in general. And the thing about baseball is being that one summertime sport. I wouldn't be surprised if for a lot of frat guys, and just for a lot of guys here, it's just like, well, our football team hasn't played in a few months. Our softball team has weird times for their games, and also we can't get into the games with like beer and stuff. Right now, our basketball team sucks. Like we blew a game to Kentucky last night, and someone apparently got arrested for throwing a can on the court. Everyone sucks. Yeah, it's like right now it's like either you'll watch softball, but you kind of have to behave because you're in the softball field. That's like it's more restrictive because our softball team's so good, or you just go up on the outfield, you just kick back and pop a beer and watch a baseball game.
Nice.
And it's so nice outside too. It's like we're 70s every day, and if it's 70s and sunny, like come on, that's perfect baseball weather.
Oh my God. Yeah. Just hanging out outside and watching a little baseball. I mean, I'm almost 50. I'm like, I'll take a nap out there. Like that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
But, okay. So, I guess what I'm saying here for all the listeners, everybody out there, like, look, breaking news, Bleacher Bunch, the kids still like baseball. They, it's like so much stuff that we hear constantly. It's not nearly as dead as they claim it is. Granted, this is Eli. He's my kid. We watch baseball like we're into it. But all those people that he's talking about in college, walking around with their jerseys and different stuff, they're at least somewhat checked in. So,
and there's another thing. It's like, so I do on the side, I do a little bit of storm chasing because I'm in Oklahoma, might as well. And I got a chasing guy who I chase with a lot. He's from Panhandle, Florida, but his family's from all over like the Gulf Coast. And he is like, he cheers for the Saints. He cheers for the Braves. Those are his teams. And he also cheers for the Pelicans, but he hasn't really been watching them too much because they're also bad.
Yeah.
But like, he's even though like he's a big Saints fan, he's primarily a Braves fan. And like oftentimes if we're out chasing and there's a game on the radio or whatever, while we're out in the car, going to find wherever, we usually have whatever day baseball is on. We like to grab either Cubs or Braves when we can, but like sometimes they're both playing at night or they have an off game. And sometimes we'll just turn on like whatever game is there. Cause it's like a good way, turning on that radio is just like, it's a good way to just listen to baseball and have a good time with it. Like, I think one time we were driving out to, I think it was like Anadarko or somewhere. And we had, I believe it was like Mets Phillies on. And it was just like, it was just because it was like day baseball. And I think that's a big thing is that like, when it gets down to like a primetime game, honestly, we're like, primetime games people will watch, but like, I think for me and for my friends and stuff, like we like the day stuff because the day stuff is stuff we can just put on and kind of listen to while we're doing stuff.
Yeah. Eli, you're making me look so damn good with all the listeners and the watchers right now because they're just like, oh my God, Cotton raised that kid right. Day baseball on the radio. Everybody.
I mean,
so you're really pumping me up here and I love it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Sundays as well because like the problem is, so the way college baseball works, at least for Oklahoma, is all of our games are at 4 p.m. And like 4 p.m. is fine. It's nice because I get to, get off of class and get over there. But the issue is that it means that we're getting to like, it's a dusk game all the time. And I'm like, sometimes I just, especially when I'm getting out of class, like some days I get out of class at like 11 a.m. and I'm like, I just want to go at a 2:00 game and get it done by by twilight. But you can't really do that all the time. But Sundays it starts at 2. So I'm thinking like, if I don't have much going on a Sunday, I'm going to head over there because it's perfect.
Oh yeah, that is great.
Mm-hmm.
David Elliott says he credits Emily. Not completely wrong. This has been prior to Eli. This was a baseball family. Okay. Well, Eli, I appreciate your perspective here and telling us all about it, but we're 30 minutes in. This is not weird on this show anyway, or some of our shows that we haven't talked about the Cubs in 30 minutes, but let's jump into our second topic here. Now that we've got the sort of that bit, now people know a little more about you. They understand, and they know a little bit more about Oklahoma baseball. And look, I'm down for a ranter meetup, sitting on that right field berm. That would be
that would be
awesome.
so funny because I can only imagine like 4 frat guys show up. It's like a bunch of 40 to 50-year-old Cubs fans out there, and they'd be so confused. Oh,
just
they'd be
right
so
wearing
confused.
all our Cubs gear and shit.
Yeah,
like
no, I would love to see. That would be awesome. I would love to see like 10 to 15, like I'm talking 40, 50, 60-year-old Cubs fans showing up to the right field berm, all with Cade Horton jerseys. And then all the frat guys would show up and they're like, I mean, I think they're supposed to be here. I mean, they've got an Oklahoma player's jersey, but we don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, we would. Yeah, and we wouldn't know anything about Oklahoma. It would just be like, whatever.
I mean, Oklahoma baseball is always in a big flux. College baseball it's really hard to follow your favorite players because unlike football, where football you have like usually 2 to 3 years of like, oh, this player will be either on your team or they'll transfer, but like it'll be like, we're watching them freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, then they'll get drafted. Cade Horton got drafted, I think, at 19. He was here for 4 months and gone.
Yeah,
like
that is tough.
So it's so hard. It's so hard to follow it, and a lot of times you you just cheer for whoever's out there, but it's kind of nice because at the same time, I remember I think in left field there was like one family who was specifically cheering for the center fielder. They were sitting in left center, and I think it was his family.
Right.
So like even they're out there, and like that's really cool. I think it's really cool because you don't really see that as much in MLB because there's just so many people. But like in college baseball, since there's not nearly as many people, especially if you have an outfielder kid, you go out there, someone probably will ask you like, "Oh, is that your kid?" Like, and you'll have a conversation about it because people are interested in that. It's a lot more human.
And we could absolutely lie and say yes. All right. Well, so no, that's great. But we should talk about this undefeated Chicago Cubs team. Now, they have tied their last 2 games because just like in my reality, when you go beyond 9 innings in a Major League Baseball game now, it's a tie. All that other stuff that they do, that's just for fun. Those innings don't count when you put the guys out there on second base. That's all fake baseball. That's just because the kids want to keep playing, right? You've got a couple more minutes before full dark sets in. Let the kids play another inning if they want. But yeah, so they're 6-0-2. Now, the Sun Ranto show, we've been following this for 10 years now, and we know a good spring training team is a bad regular season team. And so every day, while it's enjoyable to see these guys win, it's also somewhat disconcerting.
Right, because that the only way to go from undefeated is down. Like, so it's not, and it's like, oh great, we're 6-0-2. Great. Well, great. That means we're using our hot streak. We're using our luck while the games don't matter.
Yeah. Well, and all the guys getting lucky won't even be on the team in the
Yeah,
regular
exactly.
season. But one guy though, one guy is actually giving me a little bit of hope right now, and that's actually Kyle Tucker, because he has 0 hits so far this spring, and I have to assume so if we're playing this game where winning every game results in a bad regular season, Kyle Tucker is, I think he's getting ready to go off, right?
Yeah.
Like he's just going to flail out there for a month and a half and do terrible. And then he's going to explode in the regular season.
Right. It's a sort of like never let him know your next move sort of thing. You know?
Yeah,
no.
He's sandbagging for sure.
I mean, right now, we started off this season and the Dodgers outplayed us. They didn't show us anything before the start of the season because they know that we have to go play them to start in Tokyo. So they're like, throw out the C team guys. Come on, they don't like. We'll see what the Cubs are doing, but we're not going to show them anything.
Yeah, and they played the Japan game last year as well. So
Yeah.
they're actually, and I don't know that they did very well in it. I know that
they won, I think. Because I don't know.
I know their pitcher
Yamamoto, he did pretty well. I think
no, he did bad. He had a really bad game because it took him like a month and a half to get his ERA down from that Japan game. Because
I also remember. I will say one thing we need if for that Japan series, we're going to need the bats to start hitting it a ways. Because if I remember anything about that series, every game was an absolute like shootout. Like what was one, like 14-16, and I think they turned it around and made like 11-7 the next game. Like,
you're asking the wrong guy, Eli. I did not watch those games. That's like 5 a.m.
I'm pretty sure all 3 of those games that they played out in Tokyo, all of them were like really high scoring, like no pitching allowed sort of matches. So I don't know, maybe the ball just flies out there, or maybe it's because the one thing I can remember specifically from that series is that the Padres had Jake Cronenworth out there, and he had what can only be assumed as like every fielder's worst nightmare because he was fielding a sharp ground ball to second. It went through his glove.
Oh, like literally through?
Yeah, like literally. He had like the horizontal straps in his glove, and it broke through one of them.
Oh, man.
And the pain. I think that lasted for like every time like a fielder made a, people talk about hole in their glove when they make a weird error or something. Every time someone made a weird error, someone would post that GIF of Cronenworth trying to catch the ball in Tokyo, and it went right through.
Yeah.
but yeah, okay. No, hopefully the Cubs can just get a lot of runs. I mean, I'm good with that. Even if they don't win every game, if they can just put up a ton of runs, at least it's exciting.
Yeah. Well, let's look at this. Let's do the way too early stats look right here. So for everybody who's watching, I just posted the stats. This is from Cubs.com. They may not be completely up to date because Cubs.com tends to be a little slow. But I was looking today. It has felt like, there's only been 8 games and there's been a number of home runs. Every game seems to have had one. And so I started to look, but literally everybody's got one home run. Like nobody is really going off. There's just sort of one home run all the way through. And of the guys on the major league team, it's Miguel Amaya has one, Bush has one. And that's it. Outside of that, none of these guys are a lock for the major league team. You could maybe say Vidal Brujan, which, by the way, that's been the big story this week. Sammy Sosa, back in the dugout. He's back in the good graces of the Ricketts and the Cubs, and he's out there talking to Vidal Brujan about hitting, and then Brujan goes out and hits a home run. It's pretty good timing.
Vidal Brujan is weird because, like, he's either going to be, like, a player that no one thought was going to do anything and actually did something for a couple years, or he's going to be the next Miles Masterbonian. There's no different. There's like no in between on that. Like he's going to stick around for way longer than when we feel like he should. And either he'll like go off unseasonably well, or he's just going to be Masterboni again because we don't have Masterboni anymore.
Right. Oh my God. I know. Yeah. And some of these guys, you won't know. Now, I will say this. I did see one of the games, Benjamin Cowles looked pretty good out there, but Gage Workman as well. Gage Workman. Now he's the Rule 5 draft guy, right? So Detroit did not protect him on their 40-man roster, so the Cubs were able to pick him up in the Rule 5 draft. But that means he has to stay on the team. Like he has to be on the team. Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, 26-man, not the 40-man, the 26.
Yes, he has to be with the major league club. If he goes, if they send him down, even if they kept him on the 40-man, he'd go back to the Tigers.
Right. If he's not on the 26, then he's got to go back to the Tigers, and then the Cubs get like 50 grand or something, which the way that the Ricketts are trying to break even, that may happen. But this guy is somebody, I didn't realize he was a third baseman. I don't know if he was a third baseman prior to this, but he looked okay over there in obviously a very small sample size of what I saw.
Yeah, I think he's labeled a third baseman, but from what I can remember, I don't think he's played third base more than like 2 games. Like I think they had him out in left for a little bit, and I think they DH'd him one day. Like he's just been kind of playing around. He's third base, left field. I think he may have played right once. Like he just kind of plays around. It's similar to how like Vidal Brujan is like labeled a second baseman, but he kind of plays everywhere. So
oh yeah. I mean, when you look at the depth chart, I just brought up the depth chart. You can see here, you know, you got second base, you got Nico Horner, but then you got Vidal Brujan, John Birdie. Third base, Matt Shaw is top of the list, but then you got John Birdie, Vidal Brujan. And then, of course, Justin Turner is third. And then you go to shortstop. Oh, there's Vidal Brujan again.
And then Gage Workman. He wasn't even on the third base depth chart.
Right. He's not even on the third base depth chart. But he is a shortstop, I guess. So then, you know, that usually works pretty good. Left field, there's Vidal Brujan again. Center field, Vidal Brujan. Right field, Vidal Brujan. I mean,
he's our veritable Bugs Bunny. They could just put out a whole lineup of Vidal Brujan.
Yeah, I'm surprised. So the only place he's not playing is right field or first base.
Sure. Sure, because as we all know, especially everyone who played Little League, the 2 hardest positions are first base and right field.
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of switches when you get to be a
right. Yeah, no, it switches. It definitely switches, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's funny. But okay, so going back to some of these, like our OPS, little OPS watch here, Michael Bush, he's played in 5 of the 8 games. He's got 14 at bats. That's more than everybody but Gage Workman. Hitting 1181 so far. He's only got 2 strikeouts. He's got 1 walk. The big thing is the 6 hits. Like, you know, way too small sample size to make anything of it. But
well, I think that's the best part about listening to the Cubs, watching the Cubs in this way too small sample. Is that the Cubs, I swear, every time I listen to them, there's like a 50% chance that the pitcher is going to leave the inning with like 2 or 3 guys on. Like, they've been getting on base so much in this. It's like, it's like 5 minutes is the other team batting. Then the next 40 is going to be the Cubs batting. And the next 5 minutes is going to be the other team batting. Like, the Cubs have gotten on base so much. And like, it's a lot of singles. It's a lot of walks. So it's a lot of times like, oh, you know, a lot of those runners just get left on. But at the very least, it's like it seems like there's a plan. There's a plan around everyone to see as many pitches as possible. And I guess like, you know, give people as much baseball as possible for price of admission.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope so. And it's funny that you say that. It totally unlocked a memory for me. Is like I used to sit there and like people cheer, or they wish for a home run or which I was always like, I just want to see the Cubs bat for 40 minutes.
Mhm.
Like if they could bat for 40 minutes, good things are probably happening.
Yeah.
But that's totally a great way to, I don't know, for me, that's what I like. But
yeah, no, it's good to listen to because it's like the nice part is it's so consistent that even when they're not scoring runs, it feels like they're doing something. Like I was listening to the Giants game. I listened to the beginning of that while just kind of hanging out, and Jordan Hicks was in there. I think he had 30 pitches in the first inning, and I think the Cubs didn't score.
Well, and that's the other downside of the Cubs is that
Right.
they end up loading the bases and then they don't score, and it drives me
But then like
insane.
the next one, they got a guy to third and they sack flied him in. I think Gage Workman hit the sack fly. So it's like, they're working and they're just making the other side pitch an obscene amount, which I guess I don't know. I guess if you make all the pitchers pitch too much and they get hurt, then like that's a strategy. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they are. I would imagine that no team wants to play the Cubs right now in spring training because they're so annoying with how many pitches it takes to get through an inning. They're like, I just want to get my starters a warm up, and now you're making me pitch 30 times in the first inning.
You see, but again, that's sort of that situation, right? That's like we talk about. This is why they're good in spring trainings because they've got a bunch of nobodies who are looking to make a name for themselves. So they are playing to the absolute best that they can do. And like you say, there's a pitcher out there like, dude, I'm just trying to find the corner. Like I'm just throwing, like quit playing this like we're in the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
I've been pitching for 8 years and I'm just trying to work on something here.
Right. But I mean, like, it's the other thing of like, the way the Cubs are right now, as you said, everyone's trying to make a name for themselves. And especially with the, like Nico Horner having a bit of an injury sort of thing. He's still working on his throwing and like third base, still nobody knows what's going on there.
Matt Shaw has an oblique injury.
Yeah.
So he's not going to go we found this out this week. He's not going to go to Japan. Mm-hmm. Right. So they're not exactly sure who is going to play third base, but everybody's talking about Vidal Brujan, John Birdie, Justin Turner, of course. But I'm thinking, I don't know, literally only saw him one game. Gage Workman.
Yeah, just put Gage Workman out there because why not? But I think that's the thing, though, right?
Why not?
Second and third are open right now. And we just looked at that depth chart, and I'm pretty sure 2/3 to 3/4 of that depth chart can play third base.
Yeah.
So, like, I think everyone's like, oh, I can get a spot here. Like, we have about 16 different players who can play third, and none of them are locked into the major league roster right now.
Right. Okay, let's move on to a little bit of what has been happening with the pitching. Now, the big sort of scary story of the spring, which is not a scary story because, again, we're in inverse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good things are bad and bad things are good. Shota Imanaga, he gave up a 2-run homer, gave up 3 runs total in just 2.2 innings. He hit a batter. He walked a batter, but he did strike out 6.
Yeah, I think he was just trying to strike people out. I think he was like his whole goal there was, get into it and try to get more strikeouts because he went up there and he was pitching. I thought he was pitching really well. And like his arsenal's just kind of meant like the way his arsenal is, we're always worried about a home run. That's just how it is going to be. But like, I liked what he was doing because he wasn't, he could probably, throw that splitter, get more ground balls and stuff, but that's not what he was doing. He was trying to work on something. Like, right. I was really liking it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing with spring training. It's like when you see a player blow up like that and get, shelled a little bit in those 2.2 innings, you don't worry about it because they were probably working on something, but Shota is going to be one of the starters in Japan, of course.
He's opening day, right?
they haven't said he's going to do the opening day. But if they don't have him do opening day,
I think everyone's like, even though they haven't said it officially, I'm pretty sure everyone has it penciled in because I think they want it to be Imanaga versus Yamamoto opening day at Tokyo. I mean, come on,
right?
I'm pretty sure if they don't do that, I'm pretty sure MLB is going to show up at the Ricketts store and start smacking them.
Oh, they'll riot. Yeah. Well, and the other option obviously is going to be Justin Steele as the number one. And I don't know. Look, if you're in the US and you want to start Steele as your number one guy, like I totally get it. If you're in Japan, you go with Imanaga and Justin Steele understands. And if he doesn't understand, like really, come on, dude. Like
especially since Justin Steele's great. We saw him pitch really well a couple years ago, but last year he had a bit of injuries. He pitched good, but
he pitched really good. He just hurt himself in the very first game, and it took him a little bit to come back from it.
Yeah, he didn't pitch as well. I feel like if there's one pitcher from last year that everyone was like, "Oh, we've got something," this is the man. I feel like it's got to be Imanaga. Justin Steele's really good, but it's. I guess I think about it like a two-headed monster, and I feel like Imanaga's got to be the dude. But especially since you're going to Tokyo. Imanaga's got to be the dude. He's so good and he's so much fun too. Steele is really good, but a lot of times with Steele, he's very kind of closed on the mound. He's really Imanaga he's the most fun guy in the room, all the time. I love every time he strikes out. He's going
we're inviting Imanaga out to the right field berm. Steele, it's cool, dude. You can come if you want, but we're inviting Imanaga.
Yeah, I feel like you could invite both of them, and Steele might give you a yes after 3 days. Imanaga will show up a minute after you invite him and be like, "Yep, I'm in. Where do I go?"
Yeah, you're right. It does feel like that. But getting back to actually what they did, I mean, if you are a spring training optimist, Steele gave up 2 hits over 2 innings. He struck out 5, and that was it. I mean, that's pretty good. And he may also be working on something. It's just that what he's working on is working.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the thing with Steele is that with Imanaga, he's working on a lot of new stuff because he had a great year, but he's still rookie to Major League Baseball. He's working on stuff. Steele's whole thing is Steele just needs to get in his groove. So it's good to see him just strike out a bunch of guys and not give up any runs because I feel like for him, he's just working on just getting in the mindset of going game after game. Because I think that's the big thing for him is that I feel like he took a minute to get back to really good after getting hurt for a bit because it just kind of threw him off. It just threw him off a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, this is kind of his 3rd year, right? He had the first in 22. Wait, is that right? No, 23. He broke out.
Yeah.
24. He had a setback first game, had to work his way back, got his way back. And now he's into his 3rd, what's going to be his 3rd full season. And he is kind of that veteran now. So maybe he's looking that good because he really does know how to prepare and get ready in the offseason. I've highlighted Ben Brown. Super excited to see old 5-finger 2-neck Brown out there. We haven't seen him for a while, ever since his left neck, which all the rest of us have just one neck. He has 2 apparently. And his left neck kept him from pitching for the entire second half of the season.
Yeah.
But I was happy to see him out there. He did give up a dong, and that's not good. But again, spring training and, anybody that has 2 necks, you might need to figure out how to throw a little bit.
All I'm saying is that what the big news was that Roki Sasaki, he goes up and he immediately got a dong hit off of him. So as far as I'm convinced, if you're supposed to be this really good pitching prospect, then you have to have a dong hit off you.
Right. Well, hey, spring training is the upside down, right? So honestly, getting shelled in spring training, that just means good things. So everybody needs to kind of understand where we're at.
Yeah, I think it's also just a thing where it's like, once you have the home run hit off you the first time, you're not worried about it as much. Like, I feel like it's the same with like everything. Once the bad thing happens once, you're a lot better with it. I remember when I feel like when Imanaga was pitching last year, when he had the whole like almost no ERA, give like so many shutout innings, I feel like they almost pulled him earlier because everyone was worried about like, oh, but what if he gives it up? And like everyone's worried about it. And then when it happened, then he was just able to kind of just do his own thing after that.
Yeah. Well, and really, I mean, the downside of Imanaga is that he is technically a fly ball hitter. Last year, Wrigley played as one of the worst hitting ballparks in the league. So that definitely helped him. Mm-hmm. And we're hoping that he can continue pitch at a high level. But you're right. When he gets touched, it's very likely he's going to get touched into the bleachers. But
right. It's whatever. It's every pitcher has their weaknesses, and every pitcher is going to have blow up starts. It happens.
Yeah. So anybody in the chat, before we get out of the stats and what we've seen in the spring training, pop in there and tell us, what have you seen in the spring training? Like, what's kind of the thing that you've disliked or the thing that you have liked about spring training? And just let us know so that we can chat about it. Now, I will say one thing that I have disliked is that John Shambi is in mid-season form. It's spring training. Can we please talk about the sport that we've all been missing for the winter? And I turned on the game. So, also, Patreon. If you are part of Patreon, you can be in on the game hangs. Like, we're doing this already in spring training. I'm going to stop sharing this screen, by the way. Yeah. I'll bring it up if somebody mentions somebody that we want to look at their stats. But so we've been doing game hangs, and we're not showing the game. I'm doing finger quotes. We're not showing the game, but we're talking about every single pitch as if we can see it and we can hear what's going on the TV. We just act like that's what it is. Yeah. And so today, while we were pretending to watch the game, Taylor McGregor and the food thing. She's over there. She's getting like dogs at the field, and she's eating. And oh my God, this went on for almost an entire inning. I don't know I was just watching the game. I'm watching the game, and then all of a sudden I'm watching this woman eat food, and that's fine, I guess. It's a 2-2 game. I know it's spring training. It doesn't matter. But also, I want to watch some baseball, right? Oh no. Clint Nathan and Shambi are best friends, I guess. They could both watch Taylor do whatever for an entire inning.
Sorry, I popped out for a second. I think my apartment complex, we've been having internet issues, and I think they just tried to reset it. I'm not on their internet because I'm on a hotspot right now, but I think they just re-added it, and I think it caused problems. So,
well, you're doing really well for being on a hotspot.
Yeah, I know. This is my solution because I get in like 30 minutes before. I'm like, all right, let's just open it up, and nothing's working.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they went on about this whole Taylor thing forever. And of course, they're not paying attention to the game because that's what they do. And it just drives me so nuts. And then, but I was having trouble with the not feed that I couldn't watch on the Patreon thing, because if you're Patreon, you get good stuff that other people don't get, and people to hang out with, to talk about the games and make fun of Shambi. But I turned on my own feed and I found the Angels feed. And let me tell you what, it just amazes me that baseball broadcasters across the league understand their job. They know that their job is to talk about the game that's actually happening in front of them. It was, I don't even know who these guys are. They're the opposing team's guys. It's spring training. They don't know half of the guys. They were great though. They just told me everything that was going on in the game. It was so nice.
Yeah, no, I've been listening to the games, and one of the most frustrating things for me is that the Cubs just don't have radio broadcasts, apparently, not for spring training. Like, every time I'm like, oh, I'll listen to the game. I'll pull it up, and it's just like, oh, here's the Giants feed. No one else. Here's the Padres feed. No one else. Here's the White Sox. The White Sox feed was good, though, because the White Sox feed, White Sox, it was either Len or JD. I can't remember exactly who, but he's on the thing.
It's Len.
Yeah,
JD is still with the Cubs, but okay. Yeah, Len. I clocked a little bit of Len Casper the other day too, and it was really good.
Okay, that was so nostalgic though. Like, I was surprised on just how, because like, you know, I remember hearing Len on the broadcast back in the 2010s and stuff. And it was like, even though he was talking about the White Sox, it felt like I was listening to like an old dug up Cubs broadcast. It was awesome.
Oh, I'm sure, because like your formative years would have been Len Casper, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like if I were to have any, you know, I never really.
You were what, 10 years old when the Cubs won the World Series?
No, 11, because it was the fall of 2016. So 11.
That's right. You were 11 years old.
Like Len Casper, he's, you know, because, you know, I was born after Harry Carey, so like never really heard him live, but Len Casper was the guy from as soon as I can remember Cubs games on the TV to up until like now when I'm not, you know, when I'm not really watching them because I'm not watching Marquee that often. So,
yeah, the White Sox have better broadcasters on both. Like they have the worst team, obviously, in the history of baseball, but they've got the best. Like I love because you get Len Casper on the radio, and then you get Steve Stone. And Eli, you don't know this, but like Harry Carey's partner back then was Steve Stone, and so Steve was sort of the straight man to Harry's wildness. Like he was the guy that would keep on. And honestly, my childhood was Steve Stone and Harry Carey, you know, whereas your childhood was Len Casper and JD.
Right.
I honestly, I think we both got pretty good childhoods out of those guys, but now they both my childhood and your childhood are both on the South Side.
Yep, and they're both talking about absolutely no one, but they make it sound like they're talking about a World Series team, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. So David Elliott jumps in here, says Matt Spiegel and Ron Coomer were a delight on the radio on Sunday. Matt asks great questions, and they talk about baseball. I know it's so amazing how hard that is for people to understand. Talk about baseball. I mean, that's pretty rich coming from a podcast that has very much been known to not talk about baseball.
Oh yeah. But it's like you want to talk about baseball, and like because I've been kind of almost ranking the different away team like, you know, announcers on the radio because I've been listening to all of them, and like that was something was like I was like I was listening to him and I loved the White Sox, but the Padres, they were the ones who would go off on tangents. And it was like they would still go off on tangents about the players. And I'm sure it was very interesting for a Padres fan because you're hearing about, oh, yeah, here's all these different players who've been doing really well with El Paso and all these other minor league teams. And I'm like, cool, that's great. It's 2-2 now, and you haven't said a word about the pitches thrown. So I kind of want to hear that again.
Yeah. Now, one thing I will say about the Padres, and I don't know which Padres broadcast you got, but Tony Gwynn, I believe it's Tony Gwynn Jr.
Yes, Tony Gwynn Jr., yeah.
He sounds exactly like his father. And I was never a Padres fan, but I always liked Tony Gwynn when I was young. And I would hear him talk and stuff. And now it's almost eerie. It's almost like I'm listening to Tony Gwynn Sr. from the grave.
Right.
But Clint Nathan also says Ricketts are too poor to send Miguel Esparza. Now, Eli, this is probably something you've never done. But have you ever listened to the Spanish language broadcast for the Cubs? Have you ever done that? Because
I have not, but I think I've heard of you talking. You've done that once before.
So the home games for the Cubs usually has a Spanish language. The away games do not. You should listen sometime to Miguel do the game. He's really good, even in Spanish.
Right.
Which I know you don't know that well, but you probably know well enough to start to pick up. Like you can understand what the game's going on, and it's a great way to like think about the.
Yeah, I think there's one famous clip of like Baez being Baez back in the day against the Pirates, and for whatever reason, on every like clips compilation or on whatever like Baez highlights or whatever, for whatever reason, this one clip is in Spanish. And it's the most hype clip on the entire thing all the time because it's like I think it's the clip where like whatever Pirates bobble it in the outfield, so Baez runs from third, slides into third, and then runs home and gets home. And yeah, you don't like if you don't know Spanish, well, he's talking very fast and it's hard to understand it. But like, it's so good because then he kind of cuts back in English for safe at home. It's the most exciting play. It's enhanced by hearing it in Spanish.
Yeah, so he actually will do that. He'll put he'll turn like if there's like a big moment in a game coming up, he'll like turn his phone on and record himself like a video of it, and then put it out there because they are great calls. And Miguel is just like a great dude. Like he's just, I've met him a number of times. He's a great guy to hang out with. But I think since nobody's really bringing up actual players, this is what spring training does to you.
Yep.
Nobody's bringing up actual players because there's just not a ton to talk about. I mean, I guess we could talk about here's a question for you, Eli. If I were to say pick any number that you would call a fast number, what would that be?
I mean, it's got to be like 1. Like I can see 1, maybe 2, but like I feel like if you're 2, that means that you lost the race for number 1. And then like besides that, I kind of like 99. 99 would be fun because like usually 99 is like a big man number in like football and stuff. But I kind of like the idea of a guy wearing 99 and just outrunning you.
I would say maybe like 88. Right, because a lot of wide receivers wear 88 and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but no, the big story this week for no reason whatsoever was, and maybe it was even from last week, I don't know, but Jed Hoyer changed PCA's number.
Yeah,
because he had like 52 and so he switched it to number 4 because it was a fast guy's number. But I hadn't even thought about it. You said 1 is fast because that's first place. 2, 3. He's not even on the podium, Jed.
I'm okay. I saw this story, and the way it was so nonchalant. Apparently, he just like they were like, oh yeah, if you shoot the basketball, I'll change my number to 4 or something, right? Here's a little baseball conspiracy theory. I think what happened was some guy from the uniforms department was like, hey, we need you to make him a single-digit number because, like, we're already having trouble wrapping Crow Armstrong around his back. And if you have him in double digits, we don't have room.
Oh, my God. I think you just cracked it because last year they had the shitty uniforms with the tiny letters and numbers and shit. Crow Armstrong fit with his double-digit number, but this year with the normal font, single digit. I think you're 100%. I don't think it matters at all if Jed makes that shot. They have to change that so they can fit his damn name on the jersey.
Yeah, I think if they hadn't, I think like Crow would be in his armpit. Like
this is one of the greatest Cubs conspiracies that this has legs.
Yeah,
I
because
absolutely
it's like,
believe it.
He didn't even pick a fast man's number. He was like, "Oh, we should change your number. How about 4?" Shoots a basketball shot, makes it. And he's like, "Oh, guess you're 4 now."
What is 4? Like, I don't even
Right.
understand that.
Yeah,
Like,
no, like, because in football you have so many different number changes, so many players are coming in, but like no one picks 4 for fast. Justin Fields, he was supposed to be like this guy who ran around on his legs. He picked 1. Justin Jefferson is 1. Like,
yeah.
If you're
I
fast,
think
you're
4.
1.
4 was Brett Favre, slow as hell.
Yeah, if you look at the 4s, the other 4 I can remember, Kirk Cousins, who like his whole thing was he's old and he's old and somehow he's not gone yet. Like the 4 is not a fast man's number.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's just so funny. And I've been like scouring, trying to find out like why did they pick 4? Why 4? There's no answer whatsoever. It's just in Jed's head, 4 is a fast man's number. But I think Eli right here on Bleacher Bunch, you just broke news. I think we cracked the code. 4 fits Crow Armstrong's name, and nothing else would.
Yeah, but otherwise I would have just had to put like CA and a QR code linking to the full name.
All right. Well, with that, we are going to take a break so that we can go to the bathroom real quick, grab a drink if we want, whatever. I'm going to run a couple of commercials. We're going to come back. We have one more topic. We're going to talk about this third base situation and a little fun. And we're also going to finish up with chat in the chat. Chance in the chat. I'm screwing that up now. So chance in the chat, if you haven't done it yet, throw that in there. We will be doing that at the end of this show. But yeah, take a look at these commercials real fast. Oh, as soon as I find them. All right.
If you like the Cubs a bunch, buy your t-shirts from In the Clutch. We've got all the best styles for you. Dansby, Saya, Morel too. Clark Fly in his double U. Cody Bellinger smoking dupes. Vintage shirts from days of old. Patrick Wisdom and Nico. You'll look sharp wearing your stro. 10% off with the code SONRANTO. SONRANTO. InTheClutch.com is your store for the most fun baseball shirts on the planet. Don't forget to use promo code SUNRANTO to knock a couple bucks off your purchase. Stack or die, we need more cups. Get it all at In The Clutch. Cause if you like the Cubs a bunch, buy t-shirts from In The Clutch. Get it all at In The Clutch. Get it all at In The Clutch. All over Chicagoland, there are thirsty, frazzled, overworked Cubs podcasters who are struggling to survive one more baseball season in the dog-eat-dog world of unpaid content creation. But it doesn't have to be this way. You can make a difference. Become a super ranter at patreon.com/sunranto, where your support ensures that poor, sad, pathetic, ugly, loser Cubs podcasters can pay for tickets and beer, and in turn, line the pockets of the baseball oligarch Ricketts family. Just $1 a month can buy a scorecard. $5 a month can pay for guitar strings to write a Cubs song. And $10 a month almost buys one beer at Wrigley Field. Cubs content creators are the lowest pieces of pond scum garbage that slither over the face of this planet. But super ranters help them get drunk and screw off at baseball games. What do you get out of it? The Sun Ranto Show delivered to your podcatcher without stupid advertisements like the one you're seeing and hearing right now. Plus, at other Super Ranter levels, you can get Cubs music, access to private Sun Ranto pages, the Ranter calendar, and special thanks and Ranter recognition in our live broadcasts, plus eligibility for monthly prizes. What does Sun Ranto get out of it? Your money. For tickets and beer. go to patreon.com/sunranto. That's patreon.com/sunranto. And become a super ranter today.
All right, and we're back.
Man, I saw the like Into Clutch's like, you know, the commercial. I'm like, man, it has been a minute because there's only 3 players from that commercial left on this team. you show like all these different players. It's Nico, it's Suzuki, it's Dansby Swanson, and then everyone else is just gone.
Yeah, I know it's bad. I think we have a kind of a I don't know, a curse that the players that we do a shirt for end up
I mean, heck, even Nico Horner was like rumored to be going over the offseason and stuff. So like, yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be weird, but I'm going to have to do this real fast. The dog is in here, and they she needs to go out. She needs to go out. So I'm going to have to run I'm going to run a fast commercial again. Sorry about this, everybody, so that I can then let the dog out.
If you're like most Americans, you buy shit. Lots of shit. Sometimes you buy shit for other people. Sometimes you buy shit for yourself. And sometimes you buy shit you have to buy just to stay alive. So why not buy shit through the Sunranto affiliate? Links at sunranto.com/shopping. We've got tons of shit you can buy. Go to sunranto.com, click on the shopping link, then click our ads and buy shit. We've got Amazon. They've got tons of shit. But you can also buy MLB shit, NBA shit, NFL shit, Fans Ed shit, Southwest Airlines shit, Fanatic shit, Reebok shit, Wine of the Month shit, Beer of the Month shit, Bear Mattress shit, StubHub shit, Lid shit, Sports Memorabilia shit, Volcanica coffee shit, Vibrator shit, Condom shit, Bag shit, NHL shit, and Audible membership shit. There's a whole lot of shit that can help the Sunranto show stay on the air so we can keep talking shit. So buy shit today through sunranto.com/shopping. Thanks. Cubs Jesus thinks you're the shit.
All right, I'm back. Sorry for the oddities. Hey, I guess that's live broadcasting for you. But okay. So Eli.
Mm-hmm.
Today we were texting back and forth, and we got into talking about third baseman. Do you want to give this amazing stat?
Okay, yes. This has got to be the funniest stat I have ever heard from baseballs, football, whatever. So there's 2 teams, right? There's the Nationals and there's the Angels. And these teams famously, Nationals won the World Series with a dude named Anthony Rendon. He locked down third base for him. Great dude for Nationals. Well, in that offseason, the Angels obviously signed him. Well, since they signed him, the Nationals have had an absolute void at third base. They've had 19 different players play third base.
19.
Since they lost Anthony Rendon. However, the Angels, on the other hand, have had 28 since signing him.
That is such a good stat. They signed this third baseman and had 28 different.
Yep. And they're paying this guy the entire time.
Oh my God.
That's
hilarious.
That was the thing I posted into when I found out about that. I sent it out to my other college friends. We had a good laugh about that.
Yeah. Well, and I think Rendon's career is over. I think the Angels owner kind of came out and just said it's not going to do it. They're not going to keep him. He's got yet another surgery, hip surgery or whatever, and he's very much not been happy.
Oh yeah, well, I mean that's clear enough. I think he's just been sitting there with a pout on his face in the dugout, just collecting checks for the last few years.
Yeah, well, and he has been injured, but yeah, it's been a rough one. But of course, that got me thinking: how many third basemen have the Cubs had since 2021 when we got rid of Chris Bryant? And you looked that up too, Eli.
Yes, and we've had 18.
Ah, shit.
18. So if we count, I guess we count 2021. So it's been 4 years. We're averaging just under five third basemen a season, I guess.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's terrible. And and here's the thing: the Nationals have had 19 third basemen. They're not good. Like, nobody is claimed that the Nationals are good. The Angels, 28. Nobody thinks that they're good. The Cubs, technically, people like us, dummies, keep thinking that they are going to be good. And yet 18 third basemen, they can't lock down this position, which is super annoying. And we kind of thought that Matt Shaw was going to be the guy, but now he's got the oblique injury. So he's not. And okay, everybody, all the ranchers know I hate the Japan game. It just kind of drives me nuts. But because of the Japan game, we know that Matt Shaw will not start the season with the Cubs because their season starts 2 weeks earlier or some dumb thing, and Shaw can't be there for that because he's hurt. Nico is also not going to be there. And I saw today there was Megan Montemurro was reporting, and she was talking about how, like, when they go to Japan, the teams can take 31 players for the 2 games, and then they can have 26 that are actually there to play, and then 31 or something. And somehow it's so that they don't have to put guys on the IL, right? Because Nico Horner's not going, Matt Shaw's not going, but they're not going to put him on the IL. And I was just like, yeah. I mean, the Cubs wouldn't have put him on the IL anyway, because that's not how the Cubs do things. They don't put anybody in the IL. But
I think another interesting stat when we're talking about 18 third basemen is that the Cubs have had a lot of roster turnover, obviously, in the last 20 years, right? Everyone does. You have a ton of different players. Interestingly, third base has only become a problem recently for the Cubs. Like, the Cubs have had, as a main starter, they tend to have a guy. They had Ramirez, they had Valbuena, they had Bryant. That's 20 years. Those were your starters for 20 years. Those 3.
Now I would have been 100% with the Ramirez and the Bryant. Valbuena kind of surprises me.
Yeah, but
he was with the Cubs a couple years, but how many years did he play third?
He played 2012 to 2014, and he was definitely the guy.
So he had 3 seasons.
Yeah, there's always like a backup guy. There's always like a different backup guy behind him, but like he was significantly higher up on the amount of games played. Like, he played over half the games all 3 of those seasons.
Yeah,
and so like,
yeah, well, and then prior to that, the last time they had like a real strong, like, they hadn't had a guy play third base for a good long time before Aramis Ramirez. It was a rotating cast of characters, I think.
Yeah, before the last like really big one was Ron Santo. Yeah. So,
yeah, that's going back even before my time.
He's still hanging out. He's still hanging around. Still the dude.
Yeah. So, well, and that's one of these things that, like, sometimes teams don't put a lot of care into these positions. Like, Jed Hoyer seems to think anybody can play third, right? Nick Madrigal, Nicky Lopez, anybody named Nick can just do it. Mastrobuoni.
Anyone can play third base except for Morel for whatever reason.
Yeah, except for Morel. Exactly. And then they traded him away to get a worse third baseman, who then put them over the luxury cap.
I just thought about this as well. Not only have we not had a good, not only have we not had really a starter at third baseman since Bryant left, but we've also specifically been like trying to fix that position every year since then and failing epically. Because before we had Paredes come in, what did we do last trade deadline? We got Candelario, who was a third baseman. And he played first more because first is more pressing. But like we've brought up prospects, we've had trades, just getting people to play third, and no one is sticking. And it's
and they don't really give anybody a chance, except for Nick Madrigal. Clint Nathan writes in, Slappy Slapnuts Madrigal got cut by the Mets so they could add Canario to the 40-man, by the way.
Yes. Granted, Madrigal was injured, but also, Madrigal being injured just gives the Mets a better reason to get rid of him.
Madrigal, his shoulder dislocated. He's got to have surgery. And I would say that his shoulder dislocated because the Cubs made him play third base for 3 years. And when you take 5 steps and throw the ball as hard as you possibly can, eventually your arm just falls out of socket.
Yeah, no, he gripped the ball too hard one time, and his arm came with it. Like a skeleton playing baseball, just you get the whole hand with it.
Oh, my God. Yeah, so he's gone, and then the Mets get Canario, and that's going to be good for them, and that sucks for the Cubs.
Okay, I saw the whole Canario thing, and I saw the reason we got rid of Canario, the reason we DFA'd him was because we signed Justin Turner, and it's Justin Turner's 41. I get he can hit a little bit, but come on, you got rid of the thing. But sorry, I saw.
Eli's laughing because Terry just wrote, to be fair, Madrigal was throwing uphill.
Yeah, I'm usually the one accidentally making short jokes and just but that's so good. But no, so you get Justin Turner, he can only play first or DH, and really only DH because he's 41. Let's be honest here. If you try to put him at third, that's not going to work. But then I looked, and I was like, if you're going to bring in a guy who's past his prime, maybe you get something out of him, maybe he's just around in spring training, why is Rizzo still a free agent? If you're going to bring in a guy just for the vibes and the veteran presence, bring in Rizzo, and then maybe he can teach Bush how to be a better defensive first baseman. I just want to see Rizzo in blue again. I'm fine with him going out there and hitting 1 for 4 and just happen to get cut because he can't make the roster after spring training. I just want him around for the vibes, and he's still a free agent.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you why, Eli. Rizzo hits with his he hits lefty, and so does Michael Bush. And the Cubs, in all of their brilliance, cannot live with 2 guys with the same handedness in one position, because if they ever want to switch them out, they're only going to switch them out because there's a right-handed pitcher or a left-handed pitcher, and then they're going to put Turner in there or something. I don't know.
Fun fact, I've batted left-handed a lot. I'm left-handed, so I've done a lot of left-handed batting. And I know it's harder. I know there's technically a platoon advantage and this sort of stuff, but Rizzo is good at batting against lefties. He's up to the box in the way a lefty pitcher throws. They're throwing from the first base side. And the way Rizzo would bat, he's almost better than a righty in some sense because because this lefty has to throw it in there on him crowding the box, and he's more likely to hit him and bring Rizzo down to first base. Right. I don't know. The whole lefty-righty thing's just weird for me because I feel sometimes I even see lefties better if I'm watching it because you get to see the whole arm motion in your side, not on the other side. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, apparently a million years worth of baseball says you're wrong, but that's okay. Join the club, kid. Everybody, your last name is Cotton. You're going to have the worst goddamn baseball takes anybody's ever heard. Clint Nathan says, hell yeah, another Cotton going off on Hoyer's stupidity. I love this.
Yeah, no, I'm just if you're gonna bring Rizzo around, people were talking. I saw stuff about the Yankees should bring back Rizzo as a player coach. All right, let's do that. Let's do that. Come on. Like, Rizzo is the sort of guy who, yeah, maybe he's declined a bit, though, to be fair, that's the Yankees' problem. They've made him bat with a concussion for 2 months. But, like, bring him back. He will have fun. He can be a defensive substitution even if he's not hitting well. He'll teach Matt Bush how to play the thing. He'll bake a cake for the dugout on a Thursday because that's just the type of guy he is.
Yeah. No, yeah, like he was so much fun on those teams that were obviously you grew up with Rizzo as your first baseman.
Yeah,
like
no,
that's
Rizzo's
the thing.
My guy.
You grew up, well, yeah, because you were a left-handed hitting first baseman.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, yeah, and Rizzo was your guy from when you were, I think, 6 or 7. He joined the team, and then all the way through the end.
No, which
but
is awesome.
That's another spot, right? First base. I'm really hoping that Michael Bush is going to solidify this. Early last year, I did not like him. I didn't like his defensive ability, but he seemed to figure it out because they let him play it.
Yeah.
And now I am really kind of hoping he can solidify that position. A, because we just need to have a guy who can do that. But B, because we have no backup. Justin Turner's the backup.
Right, Justin Turner's the backup, but he's basically, he's a backup in the way that like Prince Fielder or David Ortiz was a backup in the later parts of their years. You could trot him out there. If anyone hits it in that direction, it's going to the right fielder. But like he can catch a ball that's thrown directly at his chest. Sure.
Yeah, he should be able to do that.
And he's 41, and it's like good for you. You're still hitting. We don't need another DH. We're already having problems with the DH because we already have too many outfielders. Like, we don't have room for a guy who comes in and like hits pretty good, but doesn't really have any defensive value because he's 41 and his legs are like made of concrete and his arms feel like they're glued to his side sometimes.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Well, so we were going to get a little bit into some of the players because you actually looked up all the players that have played third base for the Cubs.
Yes.
And I think that the people watching, people listening would probably enjoy some of these names. Why don't you throw out some of the wilder ones?
Yeah. Well, we get to the most wild when we get to Bryant, because Bryant, obviously, third baseman in 2021, that wasn't a planned change. The Cubs just kind of sucked it up in May, which they seem to be prone to doing. And then they're like, all right, we're trading everyone. Well, Then we get into, we had a game from Wilson Contreras playing third.
Oh, you know what? That kind of makes sense. Contreras, I think, was a third baseman.
Yeah.
Before he switched to catcher, which, gee, it's almost like if you hadn't gotten rid of Wilson Contreras, there might have been an opportunity for him on this team.
Yeah, maybe. Also, obviously we have Patrick Wisdom. He's like the main guy. We also had Matt Duffy.
Yes, Matt Duffy was on the team.
All 56 games of him. Fun fact, Matt Duffy played more games at third than Bryant did in 2021.
Oh, my God. I did not know that.
You would not remember that, but yeah, I think he got all 1.7 WAR with the Cubs. We also had
is that his career WAR? 1.7?
I don't know. This is WAR that season. No,
okay.
We had slamming Eric Sogard for 10 games. He's going around having a good time. We had the Titan of March, David Bodie, back in for 24 games. And honestly, Bodie's a fun dude. Since we were in Colorado, I loved watching Bodie, even though he wasn't amazing. It was fun to have him on the team, and I found it hilarious that in the first game against the Dodgers, in the most Bodie fashion, he was the first one to score the run just for the Dodgers this time.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised he didn't do it a little airplane and fly back to the dugout.
And then, well, it wasn't a home run. I think it was like a ground ball up the middle, but like.
No, I'm just saying, like after he slid in, I could totally
Yeah.
see him arms out, like flying into the dugout, just
right.
rub it in a little bit.
And then when you get into 2022, Horner played a game there. This gets to be a trend of taking second baseman and putting him at third for no reason.
Yeah.
McKinstry, it might be Zach McKinstry. I'm not sure.
Yep.
McKinstry
Yeah, no,
is
Zach McKinstry. And Zach McKinstry is now with the Tigers, and I believe he plays third base with the Tigers. And he is, if I'm not mistaken, somebody could correct me, but I believe he's the reason they did not protect Gage Workman.
Yeah, that would track. It seems like the Tigers take a lot of our third basemen because we don't give them time. Tigers are also where Jamer Candelario got his start, really, because he was with us and then sent him over to the Tigers.
Yeah, but it's just so funny that like McKinstry is a guy I just remember being annoyed as hell that he was always out there, and he ends up blocking Gage Workman, and we end up with Gage Workman, who now I'm kind of like maybe I want Matt Shaw there.
Yeah.
But if Matt Shaw can't be there, I kind of feel like let's go with
And then we had 4 games from PJ Higgins, the catcher. I don't know what I get Contreras. I get Contreras because he wasn't an infielder, and it was only 1 game. Why do the Cubs seem to think that third base? I don't know. Catcher, sure, catcher. Why not?
Still, PJ Higgins played 4 games at third.
4 games at third.
Okay. Brilliant.
And somehow he wasn't even the worst third baseman we had. Because
that was Christopher Morel. I don't know if you know this, but Christopher Morel is the worst third baseman that's ever lived.
Yeah. So with the thing I'm looking at right now, they show their season WAR, right? Wins above replacement. It's an okay stat. It's not amazing. It hides a lot of stuff. It has good stuff in there. So Wisdom played the most games, 105. And sure, it shows that, and it shows like it shows their WAR from everything. So it's not always thing like, obviously Horner didn't get 4.2 WAR from 1 game at third. But I'd like to bring up Morel played 18 games at third. We had like no one at third except for Wisdom, who got 0.7 WAR through the entire season. Morel had 1.1 WAR, and he only played 18 games at third. I wonder if we could have just slotted him in there. In 2022, this is a few years ago. We could have done this in 2022. And then we also had Jonathan VR in there for 15 games. He did nothing. Bodie's back. Then we get into the reign of Madrigal. We get into the reign of Madrigal, where for whatever reason Morel played 5 games at third in 2023. I'm just going to put this out here. Morel played more games at third in 2022 than 2023.
Oh my God.
That's a truthful statement right there. Morel played the same amount of games at third base that Edwin Rios did in 2023. Edwin Rios. Morel's time at third is dwarfed by even Jamer Candelario, who we brought in at the trade deadline to play first base.
Right.
It is dwarfed even more by the combined 3 players who made up 1.9 WAR of Nick Madrigal, Patrick Wisdom, and Miles Masterboni, who altogether made up 100 and I believe 53 games.
Oh my God. Well, you know what? I will tell you, there's probably people out there who would argue that 1.9 WAR is great. No matter how you get it, even if it is, who'd you say, Madrigal, Wisdom, and
Masterboni.
And Masterboni?
You know what Morel had? 1.2 WAR by himself. But and then we get into 2024.
But WAR, come on.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, as long as we're going to talk about WAR things, we might as well compare the WAR because it's not much of a difference. Then we get into Morel did have the most games in 2024, which is nice. That's always nice. Madrigal had 36 games at third base. he was not on the team for 2/3 of that season. He was probably on that team for about 60 games, and he played over half those games at third base.
Oh my God, yeah.
I mean, at least, and then we see Bodie in here, 26 games, Master Boney, 17 games, Wisdom, 17 games. Luis Vasquez played there for 3 games. Bush
this is
played
2020. There. You're looking at 2024?
This is 2024, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. How many games did Morel play?
74, which is the most of them, but it's not a majority.
I guess I remember Morel playing more than that, but it's amazing to me that I get Paredes, after he left, maybe.
Yeah, and then Isak Paredes, he was the guy, and he played 50 games for all 0.4 WAR of him. So if you're going to talk about WAR as this end all be all, then why are you saying Paredes is good? He has 0.4 WAR.
And what was Morel's?
0.2. But that's because he had a really bad time at the Rays. As many people do, because Morel was he was a fun energy guy, and they sent him to the absolute bin of sadness in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, well, I mean, Morel also struggled really hard at the plate. He just kept hitting the ball right at people. Like he literally hit the ball. They're like, oh, he's hitting the ball so hard, but he hit it right to the shortstop every single time.
I just think it's a psychology thing, because Morel didn't get consistent time at third, and then he got traded out of kind of nowhere. He got traded to the Rays, which is already a factory of sadness. He has to play in Tropicana Field, the only field that somehow got better looking after a hurricane hit it.
So Sarah Sanchez brought up a great point recently, and I don't know which show she was on that she said it, but because they can't play at Tropicana this year, they're playing it like the Yankees spring training facility or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so she thinks Morel is just going to go off.
I wouldn't be surprised, because he actually gets some sun. He doesn't have to sit in that, Tropicana's oh God, it's so depressing. It's so depressing.
It is when you watch the game on TV. It does. It looks like and you've never seen this movie, but Joe versus a Volcano, where everything is lit by neon lights, just white neon lights, like in a factory. Like that's what that field looks like when you're watching it on TV.
Yeah, no, it's not great. And also, when Morel went there, he had to play second, and obviously second was the one position that Morel played less than third. I think when he was with the Cubs, just because Horner was always there.
Yeah, well, the Cubs did kind of like him at second, and that's what they sort of projected him at. So, I mean, I don't know that they always thought he was better there, but it doesn't matter. It was a tough transition. I think he's going to do better this year, but that's interesting. It was a fun trick down a third base memory lane there. But I think we've been rolling along long enough here. This is your last chance for everybody who wants to get into the chance. You put chance in the chat, and then I'm going to do the chance giveaway here right after. Let's see. What do we got next? Because we're going to wrap this up. An hour 45. Good job, Eli. Look, for everybody, like we're rotating these things around, and everybody brings people in, and I was really pretty excited. Like, you know what? I'm going to have Eli on, and we had some technical difficulties early, but he got on, and look, I don't care if any of you don't really like this show. I had a great time talking to my son about the Cubs, which, by the way, is exactly what we would probably be doing if he was at home.
Yeah,
we just get to do it, and you're watching our conversation.
Yeah, there's been times where, like, I remember once I called you, and I think it was like a thing where you had something maybe an hour down the line, And we ended up having to just like cut it and hang up because you actually had to get to that thing. We'd been talking the entire time just about the Cubs. I think that was back when, you know, we had Nelson Velasquez and talking about him before he went to the Royals. And yeah.
Oh yeah. I
You
do
know,
remember that.
Because somehow we had more outfielders that we just didn't give playing time before even this one.
I mean, look, that's the Jed Hoyer way. Build an amazing farm system and then never use them. David Elliott pops in here. Eli has been fantastic. Please come on again sometime. It's been a wonderful show. That's awesome. Thanks, David.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So, well, thank you to all of, obviously, the Patreon supporters. I think we have 102 of them. You should become a Patreon supporter because you could not watch baseball games with us on our Discord channel. If you're a Patreon supporter, you get this show without commercials. You also get things like the baseball rabbit hole, which I put out a baseball rabbit hole. Eli hasn't even heard this yet because he's not a Patreon supporter. I have not been able to talk Eli into giving us $1 yet, but
we're working on it. I have no money.
And that's just my money anyway. Like you would
exactly. No, that's what I need to do. I need to take some of the money from the Patreon supporters and use it to purchase my own Patreon.
Yeah, exactly. But but the baseball rabbit hole, I posted my first baseball rabbit hole it's been 2 years, but I posted game 3, inning 1 on the day the Cubs played their first spring training game. It's been out there now for 8-9 days. But you will not get it that early. And then when you do get it, you're going to get commercials in it. If you're not a Patreon, if you're Patreon, everybody's in it. Oh, also, because Danny has tinnitus or tinnitus, I'm not real sure on the pronunciation there. He always hated that I would have crowd sounds behind the sound. So if you're a Patreon supporter, I'm posting 2 versions. One has crowd sounds. One does not, because Danny wants to listen without his ears driving him nuts. So I decided I would do that for him. And so some other people may also hate the crowd sounds.
Yeah, that's really fair because like it doesn't bother me as much, but I definitely have tinnitus as well. It's a musician's thing. That's you're not a true musician until you have at least some level of tinnitus. And like it's true because it's not even the sounds as much as the sounds are just they make the ringing start a little bit. So that's a really cool little thing.
Well, I'll have to send you the feed. We'll get you in the Patreon here somehow. But yeah, so obviously the Patreon supporters are honestly you're the reason the lights are on. You make everything happen for us. You are the ranters. You are the soul of all of these shows. And we really appreciate everything you do for us. And we hope that we're bringing you some sort of joy. And right now we're bringing it like 5 times a week. Lots of different things going on. But also thank you to Blake Beard, Rogue Wave Creative, Mac Hammers Permanent Paintings, and In the Clutch t-shirts. Look, we really do. I mean, I sometimes you just don't know how to say how much you appreciate something, but I really appreciate all the support from our sponsors and from the Patreon people.
I mean, I feel like here's a way to say like sort of support is that when you started this podcast, well, like not started, but when you joined Danny and you started doing this podcast, I was like 10 and I've been remembering it's coming on a decade at this point where I can remember
it's
you
been a
yelling,
decade. It has been a decade for me now. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can remember you yelling like Sunreto. And that is, and I'm going to let you know, that is a formative part of my childhood. You can either take the credit or the blame for that. Either way, you're responsible for that. And you know who else is responsible for it? The people who support the show. Congratulations. You've either made a really good lasting memory in my childhood or a thing for my therapist and I to talk about, and I'm not sure which.
Well, you know what? And as long as we're putting credit out there, let's credit Lyle Aker for leaving the show and making me do it. Because he was the one that used to always do that. And then, but yeah, it is funny. Eli as a child and the neighborhood kids, they would always know when I'm down there because I would yell Son Ranto, and it was kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But all right. So we are going to do chants in the chat. I just have to bring it up here, find the right thing. Giveaway tool. And all right, can we see that? Wait, I'm gonna hold on. How do I change the sorry everybody, I'm trying to change the view here. There we go. Now I can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, so let's find out who is going to win the postcard of Frank Chance. And it's going around. Everybody's in. Lots of names. Oh, it's Artie Boucher. Mr. Fourth Row wins it again. And Eli and Artie have actually met. In fact, Eli was there the first day I met Artie and Danny.
Yep. Oh,
Eli,
yeah.
I don't know if you remember that game. That was
I remember the
Javi
game.
Baez walk-off.
Yep, that was the game where that was the game that really started our trend of just seeing some absolute great late inning moments in Coors Field for the Cubs. Because I think the next game I went to after that, well, maybe we saw one in 2015, but like we saw that one, and then we had the one where you got on TV because the Dexter Fowler home run like 3 rows in front of us.
Oh, yeah. He hit the ball right in front of us, and and it wasn't a walk off because it was
top of the inning, but both of them,
of
them were last inning of the game. Cub hits home run, win game, celebrate.
Yeah, it was amazing, and that was Javi Baez's very first game, the one that we were at. I think Isaac was asleep by then.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember celebrating with you and Artie and Danny jumping around like so excited after Javi had, I think, struck out 5 times.
Yes, he was either 0-4 or 0-5. If he had hit the ball, it had not left the infield. And then he did that.
Yeah, and that's a total Javi move, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that is exactly his career. Like a lot of swinging and missing and then just doing amazing things.
Well, this is the thing, right? So like people are like, oh, but he does this and does this. His average is low, whatever. Javi Baez is the type of guy who, yeah, sure, he'll only hit it 1 every 5 times, but when he hits it, he's going to win the game with that 1 hit.
Right.
He's like, I don't need 5 hits. I'm going to do 1, and it's going to be all that matters.
Yeah. It's going to be into the teeth of the wind in, a no doubter any other day, but because it's in the wind, it just lands in the basket. But that's a playoff walk-off. Like that's Javi Baez. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we are definitely a Javi household, I think. So, all right. Well, that is going to do it for us tonight. Damn near hit 2 hours. Once I add the commercials and all that stuff, I think we will be 2 hours. Yeah. But I have a special ending here for everybody. We always have all these different songs, Danny's songs and stuff. I don't know that we've ever ended with this one. I couldn't find a good video for it. So at 7:00, I spent about 12 minutes making a video of old Harry Carey Budweiser clips. And I put it to Danny's song, Harry Lives On in the Taps, and it will be available nowhere except for right here after you have sat through an hour and 55 minutes of this show. It's the only place it's going to live because I just sort of pirated this thing right before the end of the show. But Eli, you know what? First time on. We don't have a sign off for the Bleacher Bunch. We've, yet we're sort of still in the workshopping process, and nobody's really come up with anything. Mainly because we never think about it until we hit the end of the show, and then we're like, what do you think? What could be a good sign off for the Bleacher Bunch?
Good sign off for the Bleacher Bunch.
Just totally put you on the spot.
Yeah. I guess I don't know. Maybe like I don't know. Maybe just like something like I don't know. Maybe like all right. Until next time, until next time we get all in the bleachers and watch this all again. Let's have a good night.
Sounds good to me.
All the out of town baseball fans juggle and scoff when they see Wrigley's bathrooms and pee in the trough. I guess they must be pee shy and frozen in fear. As we stand side by side, filling it up with beer, recycled beer. But the trough's hold a secret that nobody knows. 'Cause when the game's ended, guess where the pee goes? Did you ever consider that maybe perhaps they reuse what you peed and then fill up the taps? The Budweiser taps. No Budweiser doesn't come from the Budweiser ferry. Someone says that Bud tastes like piss, I am never contrary. The idea was put forth in 1986 as a money-saving measure by Harry Carey. That's why Budweiser tastes like crap, and why Harry lives on in the taps. You can drink the Goose Island of Frosty Mai Tai, but that pissy old beer is what I'm gonna buy. Yeah, I always drink Bud when watching the Cubs play. Harry Carey would have wanted me to get drunk this way. And boy, am I drunk. Harry lives in the press box, he lives in the stands, he lives in the bleachers, in the hearts of the fans. He lives in the ivy, he lives in the bricks, and he lives inside everyone's Budweiser piss. No Budweiser doesn't come from the Budweiser ferry. When someone says that Bud tastes like piss, I am never contrary. The idea was put forth in 1986 as one of the invented by old Harry Carey. That's why Budweiser tastes like crap, and why Harry lives on in the taps. That's why Budweiser tastes like crap, and Harry lives on in the taps.
Oh, yeah. 2 hours. Suck it, Yumper.